How full is your tank when it comes to your energy, your mindset, and your willpower? I use this with my clients all the time, and it's the first question I ask because once I understand that, then I can put some systems and processes in place that will get you better results. I always introduce this concept. It's called the schooner of willpower. And I want you to think around this is you have got a finite amount of willpower per day at your expense for you to make the right decisions, flex your leadership styles, have difficult conversations, maybe do that sales presentation. But once it's gone, then it's gone. Think around this. When you started a new job, you probably by the end of the week or the end of the day, you were absolutely exhausted because you had to learn new things. You had to step outside of your comfort zone, maybe to deliver a presentation. You have to learn new systems and processes. You got to understand what the business does, maybe each person on your team, which then leaves you with not a lot of willpower to, when you finish work, to make the right decisions around eating healthily, alcohol consumption, going to the gym, maybe doing a bit of study. I know I've experienced this starting a new job, for example, where you're just exhausted by the end of the week and you're like, oh, just get me a takeaway and a glass of wine as well, because I'm so tired. Have a think around this as you go through your week and your day. It's how do we keep that balance that enables you to make the right decisions? Now, in a management context, you have direct reports to manage, you've got performance appraisals to deliver, maybe you've got difficult conversations, maybe you have got sales presentations to get new business. Now, if at the start of the day, you've expended all your willpower because you're doing something that's foreign to you, then how do you think that presentation or that performance appraisal is going to go in the afternoon? Probably not very well. So how can we use this concept throughout the day? Now, I want you to have a look over here. So you've got your time throughout the day and you've got your energy expenditure and your peak performance, right? So these go in 90-minute cycles. And it's identifying if you're a morning person, which means you're more productive in the morning, or if you're an afternoon person, meaning, you may be more productive from 3 p.m. onwards. And if you are in the peak here and you expend all your energy, that leaves you nothing left for the rest of the day. So what I'm interested in and what I work with people on is, say, for example, you have a sales presentation, you've got a difficult conversation. It's not a natural thing for you to do that. We can put a couple of things, we can put a thing in place at the start that will keep you balanced before the presentation, and it will get you the result. So what I'm interested in is this time here, which is your prime time. So before you have that conversation, what do you do? Before you have that presentation, what do you do? More often than not, when I've studied people, they just sit there, eyes down, looking at their screen, not preparing themselves, not priming themselves for the performance. And when you think around delivering conversations, I've mentioned this before, it is a performance. Sales presentations, exactly the same. You need to deliver a performance. You deliver the performance, but then it's like, well, what do you do in this recovery phase? How do you reward yourself to keep your willpower balance? Now, a couple of things that you can do, and I've used this with a lot of my clients. There's a good video by Amy Cuddy that's around body language shapes who you are. And what they did a study. And they said, if you power pose, do the victory poses and the power pose, and it boosts testosterone, lowers your cortisol level, which is an inhibitor for you to make the right decisions in your prefrontal cortex. And it just primes you up to deliver that presentation. You're going to be on peak performance right there. But what I'm interested in is, what do you do straight after that? Have you ever thought of that? So, straight after your performance, how do you recover? Do you go and listen to music? Do you need silence? Do you do some exercise? Do you walk around the block? Or do you eat unhealthy stuff? Do you sit down on the couch? Do you think negatively about the performance that's just gone? All of those things that I mentioned, the latter, are not going to empower you and boost you up for the next peak that you need to have. One of a couple of my clients said, well, what do you do after you have a difficult conversation? Oh, I go and get some food. It's not healthily food. I go out for a coffee, get a scone or a muffin, and then I sit there and sort of ruminate over what I've said. Now, number one, what you need to do is identify, how do you get your energy back. Some people like me need to go to the gym or do some exercise and walk around the block. Other people need quiet time in isolation to recharge their batteries, because once you start recharging your batteries, you're going to keep your schooner of willpower that sort of half a schooner. So that's going to give you that 50%. So later on in the day, when you need to flex your leadership style again, having one-on-ones or another presentation, you're more likely to get a better result because you've got more willpower left in reserve. And you know, on a personal note as well, it's like, who do you want to be as whether it's a parent, a husband, a partner? When you finish work and walk through the door, do you want to be that person that's completely exhausted and expended, and then your other half has to spend their time with someone who's grumpy? Or do you want to be the best version of yourself? So before you walk through the door, maybe you go for a walk around the block, you boost up your energy levels a little bit, and maintain that balance throughout the day to be the best possible version of yourself. So I want you to have a think about that as we go through, you know, as you go through the next couple of days, is just monitoring that. Because one thing that we do know, once it's gone, then you haven't got that ability to make right, you know, you haven't got the willpower to stop yourself going for the bottle of wine or the beer or the chocolates or the takeaway or Uber Eats or whatever that is, because it's gone. So have a think about that over the next couple of days. And if you want some work, if you want to work with me on that to work out some strategies, just hit the link and book a time in my diary and we can have a chat.